Hey, guys, this is Fantasy Recapped, a new YouTuber. Today I want to share with you an amazing Netflix series, Monstrous. The story begins with a strange Buddha statue that a worker accidentally discovered in the mountains. When he is cleaning it, the worker pulls off the cloth that blindfolded the statue. Soon, all humans who see the eyes of the Buddha will become bloodthirsty monsters, and the human world will become like hell. Unfortunately, no one has yet discovered the abnormality of the statue. The Buddha statue was discovered 800 years ago and is rumored to have a terrifying evil spirit sealed in. Two monks who specialize in history were the first to notice the danger. When they heard that the Buddha statue had reappeared, they immediately approached our male protagonist, Ki-hoon, a historian. The monks tell Ki-hoon that according to history records, each time the Buddha statue appeared, it would bring a disaster. Ki-hoon is commissioned to investigate, while the monks contact the local official, Jong-soo, hoping to hide the Buddha statue, but the other is quite perfunctory. All hope is in Ki-hoon, who has been decadent since the unexpected death of his daughter. Now he doesn't have a regular job, and can only make a small amount of money from freelancing. While studying photographs of the Buddha statue unearthed, Ki-hoon accidentally discovers Buddhist mantras on cloth blindfolding the Buddha. While Ki-hoon is conducting research, strange things are happening in the outside world, such as the black rain unseen ever. A villager Won-suk who has looked at the eyes of the Buddha statue is exposed in the rain on his way to a restaurant. Then, he sees his deceased father turning into an evil spirit. He immediately loses control of his emotions and beats the spirit. But this is actually an illusion of Won-suk, and the one he's really beating is the restaurant owner. Soon, the police chief rushes over. She doesn't believe Won-suk, a mild man, would beat someone. However, the strange thing happens in front of her. Won-suk is once again out of control and gets taken to the hospital. Then we are introduced to the heroine Soo-jin. She is the ex-wife of Ki-hoon, and has also been living in the sadness of her daughter's death. As she was informed that the crops were polluted by the black rain, she rushes to the meeting Jong-soo holds with the local residents. On her way, Soo-jin learns that the newly unearthed Buddha statue is on display as a tourist attraction. Soo-jin is an expert in interpreting patterns. She has seen the news of the Buddha statue before, noticed that the cloth on the Buddha's eyes was abnormal. She suggests that the staff store the Buddha statue separately. But unfortunately no one listens to her, so Soo-jin has to turn off the lamp that illuminated the Buddha statue, so that visitors could not see the strange eyes of the Buddha statue. Meanwhile, monk Il-ju also witnesses a supernatural phenomenon. He is one of the monks who informed Ki-hoon of the problem with the Buddha statue, and he had just received news that the Buddha mural in the temple had shed blood-red tears. The nightmare really begins under this ominous omen. Soo-jin starts to have hallucinations like Won-suk. Her daughter died in a traffic accident, and the perpetrator was sent to prison, but now she sees the perpetrator walking free. Soo-jin rushes into the bathroom in a panic and calls her ex-husband Ki-hoon, telling him that the perpetrator is nearby. Soo-jin is increasingly affected by the hallucinations, and she senses the perpetrator approaching, so she hangs up the phone and rushes out of the cubicle to find out what is going on. But the perpetrator seems to have evaporated. No matter how Soo-jin looks for him, he never appears again. Meanwhile, a more serious accident is happening. As more and more villagers fall into hallucinations, they launch indiscriminate attacks like zombies. In the hospital, the police chief and Won-suk's mother learn from the doctor that Won-suk's glutamic acid index is hundreds of times compared to that of ordinary people. Glutamic acid is a chemical that stimulates the brain, and excessive secretion can lead to abnormal phenomena such as memory loss, hallucinations, and cognitive confusion. What puzzles the doctor is that Won-suk's index is normal now, and they have no clue why it decreased out of a sudden. The police chief has just breathed a sigh of relief when she receives a distress call from a colleague, and the sudden interruption of the call makes her even more worried. If the police station is in a disaster, it will definitely be more serious in other places. With the disaster, a new character shows up. Yong-ju, a gangster who likes to fight, was just released from prison yesterday. When he sees a group of people attacking each other like crazy, Yong-ju finds a good reason for fighting. As he knocks down several villagers who have lost their minds, he retreats to the building with a group of survivors. The survivors include Soo-jin and Do-kyung, the son of the police chief who was rescued by Soo-jin. They then receive a message that the area where they are now is classified as a disaster zone. Now that the media has begun to report on this dangerous place, monk Il-ju is worried. He sees the latest photos of the Buddha statue in the news, with the strip of cloth used to seal the Buddha statue gone. At this moment, Ki-hoon has just finished his study and is desperately rushing out, but unfortunately the road has been blocked by the army. Ki-hoon is worried about Soo-jin, so he tries to incite everyone to rebel against the army. Because many people's families are trapped inside, the crowd soon responds to Ki-hoon and starts to protest. The police chief who arrived from the hospital also joins it. While Ki-hoon has raised a rumpus, Soo-jin's side is not peaceful either. As the hallucination of the perpetrator appears repeatedly, she is at the edge of collapsing. Not far away, Yong-ju is still analyzing the disaster. He believes that the source is the black rain that began yesterday, speculating that there is a virus in the rain that causes human rage. Yong-ju is about to find out the infected among the survivors when Soo-jin suddenly faints. Yong-ju is startled, and in order to prevent Soo-jin from turning into a monster to attack everyone, Yong-ju decides to kill her in advance. But Do-kyung steps out to protect Soo-jin as he is grateful to Soo-jin for saving him before. Yong-ju and Do-kyung have had a conflict. Just when Yong-ju is about to take action through violence, Ki-hoon's call comes. Ki-hoon learns that his ex-wife has fainted, while the police chief knows the location of her son. She talks with the trapped Jong-soo, promising to organize police forces to rescue him as soon as possible. Yong-ju gets a little restrained after the call, but he does not obediently wait for rescue. To be safer, he orders to tie up all those who have been exposed to the black rain. On the other side, Ki-hoon and the police chief sneakily break through the blockade. The police chief has lived in the area for many years and knows an unrecorded path. The journey is full of dangers, as there are violent strange birds constantly attacking them. Ki-hoon and the police chief have to hide in a hut, but these strange birds are desperately chasing them, even trying to break through the glass to kill them. At this time, Ki-hoon tries to save themselves based on his professional knowledge. He recalls the pattern he saw when he looked up the information before, finally scaring the strange birds away. Then, Ki-hoon reveals a shocking truth to the police chief. In fact, the black rain is not harmful. It is a warning from God when an ominous thing descends on the world. After that, Ki-hoon calls monk Il-ju to inquire about the Buddha statue. While Il-ju's narration makes Ki-hoon feel angry, Jong-soo not only attracted tourists with the Buddha statue, but even removed the multiple enchantments that sealed it. It is recorded that people who have looked at the Buddha statue will fall into their most fearful hallucinations. Ki-hoon hurries to ask Il-ju to check out a book published by Soo-jin, which contains information about the enchantment. To save others, Ki-hoon and the police chief rush out of the hut, braving the attacks of strange birds. As Ki-hoon draws the enchantment pattern on the hood of the car with black rain, he manages to avoid the attacks of the strange birds. Along the way, the police chief sees the corpse of her colleague. She takes away her colleague's gun with a heavy heart, and moves the body to the side of the road to avoid it being pressed by subsequent vehicles. After that, Ki-hoon receives another call from Il-ju. The monks have found that if they want to lift the enchantment, they must blindfold the eyes of the Buddha statue once again with the sealing mantras rewritten on the cloth. Besides, Ki-hoon has to keep the call, so that the monks can transmit the sound of the collective chanting to the Buddha statue through their mobile phones to suppress its evil power. Meanwhile, Soo-jin is influenced by hallucinations and begins to attack others. Through a short period of sobriety, she wants to take the initiative to end her life. Yong-ju definitely supports her dying for his own safety, but Do-kyung strongly disagrees. When Yong-ju and Do-kyung are fighting, they accidentally break the glass that stores the Buddha statue, and Do-kyung is completely stunned when he sees this ominous object. Just then, Jong-soo comes up with an awful plan. He suggests driving out suspected infected people to stay with the monsters. Coincidentally, an infected person outside the building triggered the fire system, causing the inside building full of smoke. Yong-ju and Jong-soo fear that they will be choked by the smoke, so they decide to flee with the bus driver among the survivors. Before leaving, Yong-ju hesitates for a while, but still leaves his dagger to Do-kyung for self-defense. Unexpectedly, the people who choose to stay remain safe, while those fleeing away are attacked, injured and killed along the way. What's worse, as they are infected by the statue, they start to attack each other, and all die. Just then, Ki-hoon and the police chief drive over. The monks begin chanting to suppress the evil forces in the Buddha statue. Ki-hoon goes to repair the seal of the Buddha statue, while the police chief goes to find Do-kyung. However, both the mother and the son fall into hallucinations. Years ago, Do-kyung often messed around with Yong-ju. Once they were chased by the police for a car race, and Do-kyung was caught by his mother. To save Do-kyung, Yong-ju attacked the police chief. The accident led to tension between Do-kyung and his mother. Then, Yong-ju was arrested and sentenced for assaulting the police. He was very upset that he was sent to prison for saving Do-kyung, thus having hatred toward Do-kyung since then. Somewhere else, Ki-hoon manages to repair the enchantment seal. but the screenwriter wants to prolong the length, arranging accident to destroy the seal. So the Buddha statue begins to enchant humans again. This time, Ki-hoon is deeply involved. He is immersed in the regrets of the past. Ki-hoon and Soo-jin were very busy at work back then. One day, Ki-hoon was supposed to pick up their daughter, but he temporarily notified Soo-jin to do that because of his work. However, Soo-jin was also late, causing their daughter to suffer the accident and die. At this critical moment, Soo-jin briefly sobers up. She takes Ki-hoon's call, blindfolds her eyes according to Il-ju's instructions to not look at the Buddha statue, and concentrates on groping forward to avoid the most dangerous area. Finally, she manages to seal the statue on its forehead based on the enchantment pattern in her memory. The evil power in the Buddha statue is finally sealed again. As the ground collapses, and the Buddha statue falls, the heavy rain stops. This nightmare of mankind finally comes to an end. Du Kyung and his mother have resumed their previous relationship, while the monks have expiated the sins of the Buddha statue. Then, a new round of research will be launched soon. Ki-hoon and Soo-jin overcome the shadows in their hearts to get back together after this tribulation, and they embark on the road of descending demons. The story ends here. Congratulations, you've finished another drama on my channel. How would you rate this drama? Just comment below. The Buddha statue in the story does not have the ability to directly control people's hearts, but what makes it terrifying is that it can awaken fear, guilt and regret in people's hearts, and eventually make them collapse. I think the story is telling us that the biggest enemy of human beings has never been external factors, but what hidden in our hearts. At the end of the video, I have a question for you. If you were influenced by the Buddha statue to see the person or the thing you fear the most, what do you think you'll be seeing? Do you think you can get it through? Well, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. As a new YouTuber, I really need your support. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye.